Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Alicia Vincent, Associate Provost and Program Director for the Practical Church Leadership Program at Dakota Wesleyan University, formerly known as the Nonprofit Church Leadership Program. Joining me today and serving as co-host for today's session is Sherry Meister, President of the Dakotas and Minnesota Methodist Foundation. The purpose of today's session is to discuss the importance of a program like Practical Church Leadership for clergy persons serving congregations and communities across the U.S. and beyond, and to also lift up the value of supporting clergy persons through this program or a program like this. And to start, I'm going to provide a very brief summary of the program. Following that, I'm going to invite Sherry to ask or answer some questions about what it's like to partner with Dakota Wesleyan and support clergy persons through scholarships and other ways and means of support as they journey through the Practical Church Leadership Program. If you're joining us today and have any questions, feel free to use the chat to type your questions and we'll respond either at the conclusion of the session or through email. If you are watching this after the fact, you're also welcome to send in questions about the program to Sherry or myself or to our admissions coordinator, and we'll post that contact information at the conclusion of today's webinar. To start, a brief overview of what Practical Church Leadership is. Practical Church Leadership, like I said, formerly known as the Nonprofit Church Leadership Program, has been working with clergy persons and other ministry leaders for the last 4 years. We've expanded from our start with the Dakotas and Minnesota's clergy persons serving in the United Methodist Church to include denominations such as the ELCA and soon Presbyterian and Episcopal, as well as other nonprofit ministry leaders who are serving in parachurch contexts. We've grown to also expand to other states, including Louisiana, Missouri, Oklahoma, Michigan, and more. Practical Church Leadership is designed to equip leaders to be more confident and capable administrators, increasing their understanding and skills in areas such as financial development, financial management, human resource management, governance, strategic planning, project management, communications, and more. The program is mostly online with 5 7-week courses in those subject areas. And throughout the program, scholars also complete a year-long applied project, which is designed with input from their congregations and meant to deliver measurable impacts. And an important differentiator in this program is that each scholar in the program is also matched with a professionally trained coach who meets with them bi-weekly and supports them throughout the duration of their program, also serving as a coach and confident and support person as they carry out that applied project. Coaching has been named time and time again as a significant differentiator for the program, and it's something that scholars build those lifelong relationships with for years to come. Students who enroll in the program and complete receive 21 graduate credit hours. Those graduate credit hours can also count and be applied towards our 36 credit hour MBA if a student chooses to continue on with their education once the certificate is completed. Evidence of the impact of this program has really been impressive. I'm going to show you quickly a slide that demonstrates that impact. So since we started a few years ago, we've been keeping track of impact. We are a practice what we preach kind of university, and you can see from this slide the confidence increase from pastors and clergy persons who have participated. And in almost every case across the board, whether it's managing funds, stewarding those resources, managing human resources, solving conflicts, or strategic planning, there has been significant growth in almost every area when it comes to pastors' confidence. So I am going to invite Sherry to join me now. Sherry, I'm going to direct some questions to you just about what it's been like to partner with Dakota Wesleyan. So since inception, Dakota Wesleyan has worked with the Dakotas and Minnesota's Conference and Foundation of the UMC, and Sherry has been a big part of that and played an important role in supporting pastors through scholarships, through additional coaching and mentoring as pastors and clergy persons complete the program. So first of all, Sherry, thank you so much for your time and for your investment in this important ministry, an important way that we feel like we are helping to bolster pastors' abilities to really be kingdom difference makers in our region. So thank you, Sherry, for joining me this morning.
Well, thank you for the.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say thank you for the invitation. And Alicia, you're right. And we have felt this way from the beginning, that the partnership is just invaluable to our pastors and to our organizations together to be able to work together such as this.
Well, Sherry, I am so impressed by how things have gone. Who knew at the beginning of this process that we would be having these kinds of conversations and seeing the results that we have, due in no small part to this partnership. So there are strength in partnership and in numbers. So first question, what benefits do you see in the participants when financial support is shared among the foundation, the conference, the church, and participants? And if you want to elaborate a little bit on what that process looks like, that would be fantastic.
I think that one of the things that the pastors who participate in the program recognize is that when all of those entities come together, it just builds a better system, and that they know that each place that they look for support, we're all in this together, and we're all in this for the outcome, and to have them become a stronger pastor in many of these ways that they were not as comfortable in before they started the program. I don't think it's a secret that finances and money and stewardship are things that many pastors find that they want to avoid because they're not as comfortable in those areas. So we all came together, and when they, if the foundation supports them and the conference supports them, their church supports them, then there's buy-in for everybody to help them succeed. Yeah.
And just to elaborate a little bit, we have a number of different entities who help support and scholarship scholars in this program now. And in some cases, they receive some support from their foundation, maybe some support from their church, and they might put their own financial resources in to help cover the cost of tuition. In other cases, that might differ depending on the scholarshiping agency that is partnering with us. But in all cases, we recognize and realize there is a return on investment. And when foundations step up to support the participants in that program, in this program, where have you seen situations where there has been significant ROI and it's made a real difference for pastors and for their congregations?
For their congregations too. We've had pastors that have learned like year-round stewardship, things that we have encouraged, and we can only do so much because we can't get to every single pastor every year, but we have trainings and things. But the ones who have gone through the program have a deeper understanding of how important that is in their congregations. And then they see that return, and they see that their stewardship programs are successful and that their annual giving goes up when they concentrate on those areas that they have learned through the program. That is a return for us as well in the conference, because then the people within the pews understand that means of generosity. And it's not just the foundation looking for money or the foundation that's doing donor development and things. We're all in this together for the kingdom, and how can we help the churches do that? And so when we're all on the same page and we're modeling it, and then the churches are able to do so as well.
Now, Sherry, I know that you spend a lot of time on the road and in different churches and working on providing workshops and other trainings for churches related to financial stewardship practices. And we, believe that this program is a great partnership and support for what you're doing as well. And I know that you've seen evidence of impact in some of the congregations that you've been in and that you've worked in. And so do you have any examples of stories that really illustrate the impact, especially when it comes to applied projects or other practical learnings throughout the program?
We did have one individual that stands out. I mean, we've had many individuals do this, but this one stands out that for their applied project was their annual giving and their stewardship campaign throughout the year. They increased their annual giving by 21% in that year. The interesting part is that not every one of the pieces were followed the following year, and it dipped a little. And that was kind of an eye opener for this pastor, because they recognized how important it is to follow through on the materials and the things that they learned in the program at Dakota Wesleyan. And so then that was a reminder that they need to reinstate some of the things that they had done the first year and learned from the class. But I find it interesting that they felt they could cherry pick kind of afterwards, and it wasn't as successful that following year. But to recognize that and then to learn from it, I think was also a real benefit from both the class and what they learned from the applied project.
Now, Sherry, I know we've also had conversations where you have been out and about and doing sessions for congregations, and you've watched pastors' confidence grow, just their confidence and ability to speak the language of fundraising and financial stewardship. Do you have any examples there?
Well, I do. Before one individual took the class, in the program, not just the class, but the program. And again, I go back to that applied project, because it's real life. It's what, they're not just doing a case study. Sometimes in college we did case studies and we had these imaginary people that we were working with. But in this program, they're actually using a project in their congregations. So we had a pastor that I was working with their finance group, and we were trying to build an endowment and a better investment program so that they had these dollars for the future for their church, and they saw the value in that. This pastor avoided all of the finance meetings. He, in this church, never once, when I was at the meetings with them, was this pastor with me in this. And I didn't know this pastor very well, and I didn't understand, but it was avoidance for this whole area. This pastor went to a different church. He attended this program, and since the church that he is in now is flourishing, he's a part of the finance programs, or not programs, but meetings. He's following all of this, and he's in tune, and he speaks with unbelievable confidence that he did not have in his previous church or prior to the program at Dakota Wesleyan. So in fact, when I had the conversation with him, I was amazed. It was like talking to two different people from before and after.
Awesome. Well, of course, I have the probably the best seat in the house when it comes to watching the changes among the participants in the program. It's not an easy program, and I think pastors would say that they have to have the dedicated time to be able to do this over the course of a year. It's 21 graduate credit hours, and it takes time. But it is unique in that they can make changes in their program or in their congregations while they're participating in this program, and sort of doing both at the same time, I think really adds value, not only to their learning, but certainly to their congregation, and also to the denomination and to our communities overall. I mean, that return reciprocates in a number of different ways.
Listen, my contacts and my colleagues, and we're speaking to some of our colleagues today, but they speak very highly outside of our conferences. They speak very highly of the program and what they've seen in the value of their pastors as well. It's kind of hard for us to talk about, because we get excited about it and we've seen this, but to see it happen and the excitement from people that weren't in it from the beginning and have seen the program grow, I think is just a testament to the program itself.
Sherry, another question, and like you mentioned, this broadcast and the recording will be available for a lot of folks, not just with the UMC, but for other denominations, other foundations, other supporting agencies who might be considering scholarshiping pastors, clergy persons, ministry leaders to complete this program. What is something else you would say to them? Why should they support pastors?
I think it's just really important for the foundations to be invested in our pastors and in that leadership development and growing churches. And, stewardship is one piece of the puzzle. And for those that are putting the puzzle together without that piece, then they're missing part of the stewardship, part of the spiritual gifts. I think sometimes people forget or don't understand that generosity and people who have resources is a spiritual gift. I mean, we know hospitality is a spiritual gift and leadership and teaching, but having the generosity as well. And so for us to be able to invest in that and for our pastors to understand that piece, that it's part of our spiritual growth and our journey in building the kingdom. And so that is why it is so important for us to also be able to invest that, to strengthen our pastors, to strengthen their confidence in these areas. And I think sometimes in our world, in the seat that I sit in, some of this stuff is just so natural and common sense. I mean, why wouldn't somebody do this?
Mhm.
But I have to be reminded as well. And then for us to invest in it and be a partner in that to help that growth has been it's been rewarding for us. We have told many stories in our communication and our newsletters and in the different things that we do of the value of the program and how we've seen our pastors grow.
Fantastic. Sherry, I'm going to pause for a second and just, I know we are advocates for the program for sure, but I'd like to take a moment to share a quick video from one of our current participants. This video is from Scott Harmon. He's a district superintendent serving Michigan, and I'm going to share this quick clip.
Its focus on administration and leadership. There are many wonderful programs where you can learn about yourself. There are many wonderful programs that you can learn about pastoral care, but this is truly focused on helping to lead a group of people, helping to lead a congregation in a direction together. And that doesn't just happen. We can have, like I said, good intentions, but that takes some skills to know how to do that and to know how to work with systems and structures and to set those up within the life of a congregation so they can be effectively who God has called them to be.
And I think that really sums it up well for us and for the program, and why we do what we do is to help prepare clergy persons to be all that God has called them to be. And in doing so, help to create disciples to make significant impacts in the kingdom. And that's what we are all called to do and all called to be.
And Alicia, that's the one thing that I, listening to Scott and his support of the program, is I concentrate when I think of the program a lot on generosity and stewardship things. But Scott's right; it's the entire leadership piece that gives confidence for the pastors to work with many of the different committees and areas within their congregations and within their churches. And I think there's a piece in there on how to deal with and work with all kinds of different people and the different personalities that everybody finds in a church, because I don't think that part's learned in seminary as well, that not everybody's the same and not everybody's personality is the same when they come to the table, and those leadership skills help in that and determine their, like I said earlier, their spiritual gifts.
Yeah, you're right. I really do think we view this program as a holistic leadership development program, looking at all of the important aspects related to administration, and that is financial, as well as people skills and management skills and communication skills and so much more. And it takes all of those to really run and lead a kingdom-minded and thriving church and congregation in 2021 and beyond. So yeah, indeed.
One of the other things is the MBA program. If you want to just speak with that. Now I'm interviewing you, Alicia. I turned the tables on you a little bit.
Sure.
But I'm just gonna preempt this a little bit. One of the reasons I was so excited that Dakota Wesleyan was willing to come to the table and visit about the possibilities of this program is that I had taken the MBA course through Dakota Wesleyan and saw the possibilities and the offerings that were there, and the not flexibility, but the adaptability of the program, so that I, in learn in my own position. And so there is an MBA component beyond the program, correct? And if you wanted to talk about that a little bit, that's another way that people have invested in their pastors to be able to continue that and continue on for their graduate degree.
Absolutely. So several of the participants in the Practical Church Leadership 21 credit hour certificate program have elected to go on and finish their MBA. It's just another 18 credit hours that they can complete, and all of those courses are online. And those courses are also designed with the same kind of pedagogy in mind: practical, relevant, and applied. And I could speak to the wonderful things that are happening in the program. But just last week, we received a message from one of our former Practical Church Leadership certificate earners, who is a pastor in Alaska. He's serving in Alaska and currently completing the MBA program. And so he emailed the MBA director just a week ago and said, in all of his years taking graduate courses and through seminary, the courses in the MBA program are some of, if not the most powerful courses that he has ever taken, in ways that has really transformed the way that he leads and the ministry, with some practical examples of how he has recreated teams to be more effective in his church context serving in Alaska. And so that was, we hear those testimonies quite frequently. The courses in the MBA program are such a fantastic complement to what we start with in Practical Church Leadership, continuing to do things that are really transformative to the congregations and to the ministry context that people are serving in. So thank you for bringing that up. And of course, additional support for pastors, allowing them to participate and complete that is a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Sherry, I think this about wraps up our time for this morning. If you have any additional final words, speak now, or otherwise we're going to close for the morning. I will provide your contact information here just momentarily. Just give me one quick second. So if anyone has questions about the content that we've discussed during today's session, you can log on to our website, dw.edu/PCL for Practical Church Leadership. You can also go to NPCL if you are the formerly known as version. Also, you can reach out to Sherry Meister, sherry.meister at the Dakota, Minnesota Foundation, or myself at Dakota Wesleyan. Missy Luthold is the adult and online enrollment coordinator, and she can be reached by phone or email, and her contact is also found on the web. We would love to answer any questions that folks have about the program, whether that's figuring out how to set up certain scholarships, how to work with you to recruit students to the program, or otherwise. So Sherry, thank you so much for participating this morning and for all the ways that you have supported and partnered with the university to make this program successful. We appreciate you so much, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alicia.